Russell County Board of Supervisors meeting May the 13th, 2019. This is a reconvened meeting at 1 p.m. for the Russell County budget-wide budget shop. First, I'd like to start off with call of order. Tim Lovelace.
Here.
Joanne Wallace.
Here.
Paul Ray.
Here.
David Eaton.
Here.
Steve Brady.
Here.
Harry Ferguson.
Here.
Rebecca Dye.
Here.
Madam Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you. All right, let's stand for our invocation and remain standing for pledge, please.
Bow our heads. Thank you, dear Lord, for another day. Thank you, Lord, for the blessings that you've bestowed upon us. Help us, guide us, and lead us in doing the work of our county. Help us do the best for the people of this county. And remember, this is in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, do we have a motion to approve the agenda? It is our annual budget workshop to review the agency's request for the year. So do I have a motion to accept the agenda?
So moved.
Thank you, Tim. A second?
Second.
Thank you, Lou. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. We'll get right to it. Mr. Lester, our 2019-20 budget.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Board of Supervisors, we're here today to look at the Russell County budget-wide for fiscal year 2019 and 20. We're ending up this year's, and we've had, so far we've been very successful. We've done a lot of accomplishments. We have proceeded within alignment with what the board had said at the beginning of the year for the 2018-19 budget. And what I'm going to present to you today is an overlook, review, summary of the revenues, the expenditures between the variances, the county-wide budget, and give you an opportunity to talk to, I see in the audience, the school board member, superintendent, and the treasurer. So I'll proceed through mine. If you have any questions, please hesitate, stop me, and because the budget committee, which is made up of Chairperson Dye and board member Mr. Ferguson, this was a very comprehensive year. And of course, as we get into this, you'll see why we had such issues. We had a lot of requests, and we also had a lot of issues from a financial perspective that we had to look at to maintain a good stewardship on the county budget. First, I'd like to start off with of course, always at the beginning, you always start off with taxes, and I know that's on everyone's mind. I want to have an opportunity to everyone to look at the Russell County tax rate history. As of course, that you see in 2019, we have the real property on the real estate, the mobile homes, personal property, machine and tool, and the merchant's capital. These are some of the big ones that are in the county that have effect on us setting our overall budget. As you can see, in 2018, the Board of Supervisors decided not to raise taxes on any personal property or any other tax. But one of the variances that I was wanting to point out was, of course, as you can see, here is 2018, and at 63 cents. Now, as you trim back over the 20-year period, you can see that the property tax in 1999 was actually 64. So this is the historical trend over the years of the personal property and the mobile home. I mean, the real estate and mobile home. Now, on the personal property, the board elected to change out the personal property tax and raise the machine tax. That was to do to the age of, to do away with the county vehicle decal in substitute of the personal property, which was almost a dollar for dollar match. It was just retitling, reclassifying from one taxation to the other. On the machine and tool, that was raised to, in conjunction with the personal property tax, to, because of the depreciation and the age of the assets. The assets had depreciated to a point to where it wasn't advantageous to, we were actually losing money or below the depreciation of what they actually were. So to bring it up with the current market, the Board of Supervisors decided to raise it to $1.95. Machine and tool, the merchant's capital again has been flatlined along with the real estate and again the mobile home tax. Is there any questions on the taxation, on the revenue? As you go through, you will see, here's how it comes into the numbers, how the tax base relates into the numbers. As everyone can see, this is 2017-18. We produced $32,233,021 in revenue, and we expended $31,986,000 in 10, with a net effect of $247,000 and $247,011. Now, if you will look from year 13 and 14 forward to 2017 and 18, before then, the county was actually running in a deficit. And this is during the 13-14, we transitioned and retired a $3 million RAND note, and it actually went into, from a deficit to a surplus. Now, there's other factors that came into play from 13 to 18, such as you can see in 13 and 13-14 fiscal years, we had $880,930 in surplus. In 14 and 15, we went into a $1.9 million surplus. That's a great accomplishment. That is a lot of effective work and a lot of cost cutting, and without raising taxes. Remember, y'all had not raised taxes during this time. And one of the things that you did, what happened in between 14 and 15, 15 and 16, that we only ended up with 107,000 was, we had some adjustments that we had to make to fiscal year 16. And of course, I broke this out here. We had to give a manufacturing tax refund. That was back to Alcoa. We had to refund that back to them. We had a machine and tool adjustment. That dropped in, that was part of that depreciation drop. The coal road tax, that's when it went from $1 million, 900 down to what we're collecting today is around 250. And again, y'all had to pick up, that was the year also of the ESS Foster Children Program, which was running at 100 plus children, and which is now down into the 50s. Y'all had cut that cost in two, for a total adjustment of the 1.62506, which gave y'all the net position funds of 107,347. Now, if we take all those adjustments back in, and what we had to, the Board of Supervisors had to incur without raising taxes, your actual net position would have been $1.7,229,853. Now, again, we thought we were over the hump. We were still progressing forward. We had to do these because they were responsibilities and obligations of the county. Then, in 16, 17, we ran into another financial condition. Y'all, this has been the most active board having to deal with issues within the county. Of course, during 2016-17, we went into a tax legal liability with Northrop Grumman. They have waived it, which was almost $1.3 million net effect on the county. That's net. So We still, even in 2016-17, with a reduction of $1.3 million, we still netted $552,256. And again, in 17, we came out with $247,011, which we have not collected the $1.3 million on 16-17 and nor 17-18. So we're still maintaining a positive balance, even with a reduction, without raising taxes. And during that time, between 2013 and 2018, the Board of Supervisors has given the county employees, which would, including this budget year, 11% pay raise. This is from 2013 to 2018. This is what it equates to. That's what, if the board approves the budget today, or the next budget. Again, the county fund balances, as you run through the fund balances, this is the net effect on the balance sheet. As you can see, the county has transitioned from 2009 and 10 and in 2011 it went down to 4.9. As we transitioned through, when the board came aboard, we went from $6,094,448 up to $7,617,999. Again, that's the additional revenue that was brought in due to cost cuts and remanagement. As you can see, over the year, between 2015, 16, up through 18, you can see that we have kept our balances right from $77.4 million to $7.7 million. Now, in 2016 and 17, our balance fund went up to $11 million. Now, that was due to an escrow account, fund account with Energy Performance Grant. That it overstated our revenues at that time. That was one of the things I had to go back and explain to the APA. It overstated our revenues and also overstated our expenditures during that time, because that was held in a trust which the school board has picked up, which has performed, greatly. It has paid back with federal subsidies to the tune of, I think, $223,000 today, and with another refund coming in this fall. Any questions on the revenue and expenses overall? Next, let's break down how we spend our money. This is a snapshot of how our general funds is allocated in 2019 and 20. Right now, we have, of course, education is our biggest one that we contribute to, is the schools. Public safety is the second in alignment, and etc. Judicial, general administration, all the way down through the parks and recs, the community development, and the capital improvements, and of course the debt. Now, here at the bottom of the sheet, here is the variances between last year's budget that was approved and this year's budget also. This is the breakdown between the departments and the variances between one fiscal year to the next fiscal year. In 2018-19, we on general administration, we gave $1.9 million. This year we dropped to almost that. It was a $61,000 reduction. Judicial was 2.2. It has trended up to 2.3, which was a $95,000 increase. Public safety went from $6,022,677 to $6,068,472, which is $45,805 variances. But environmental went from 1.7, stayed about even, very little variance. General services, very little variance. Health and welfare was actually flat level funding. Now, and again, education, I have a $75,000 mark here, as you can see in variance in the education. That was the RACE program that the Russell County Board of Supervisors wanted to implement. That was the increase to take care of all the school children that were graduating from all three high schools to be able to attend after they complete their FAFSA and their scholarships to be able to attend college. Next is the park and recs, little variance. That's mostly in electricity and movements around. Community development is, this one right here is community development, is a reduction of $115,533. Now, that line item is this. That was the Castlewood Water and Sewer, the Dank Sewer Treatment Plant. We have reduced the operating cost down there from $275,000 to $125,000. That's what we're running at right now on projection. Next is the capital outlay transfers. Very little variance is $53,221. Variance between 1 year and the next. And as you can see, our debt service has flatlined, and so has our departmental. But overall, between fiscal year 2018-19 and 19-20, there's been a variance of $138,246 without raising taxes, and right now, at the direction is a 5% pay raise that has been put into the budget, moving these numbers around, taking down the costs where we could, without raising taxes. There's a 5% pay raise that is right now in the budget for all county employees. Any questions?
The environmental services, that's waste, solid waste.
The environmental services is solid waste,
Yeah.
yes.
Do you have a listing of debt service mature dates? And
Yes, sir.
I tried to find that on my,
It's not in your packet. It's
I mean, I
not
looked
a
at it.
big packet. I think
Gotten that though? I thought I saw that.
I didn't see it.
it was, I think I've got it on Google Drive there somewhere, but I'll see it too.
I tried to find it on mine, I had to scroll around
Yeah.
and unpack.
It's actually in our CAFR. You can go into our CAFR and it'll give you a breakdown of not just ours, but every debt load within the county. That's revenue bonds, GO bonds, and literary bonds. And I'll provide that.
Okay, thanks.
When we first started doing that, we was talking about the paperwork on all the requests, and I thought I'd bring it just for show and tell. The request that comes into the county is a binder about, and it should be seen, it's about that big, wasn't it? What you're seeing today is, we have a lot of requests, we have a lot of needs. Y'all are constrained without raising taxes, giving raises, and being able to accomplish all this without having to do this. This is a very fluent moving. We just got an analysis by the Department of Public Accounts that says, you know, you guys are doing a great job. I mean, with what you've got. You've run into a lot of obstacles. You've run into, as you can see, north of Grove, $1.3 million. You've had to pay back this, they lost their kids. Soil, water issues, that's why they're turning issue here today. You've had Castlewood, and you've had the Russell County, you combined all these. You've got the opiate issues, you've got Norfolk growing issues. No more questions on the expenditures?
You said, we've done a 2% first year, 2% second year, 3% third year.
Oh, we did 0,
0, 2, 2.
2, 2, this would be.
We gave a bonus.
Whatever we agreed
It was a
on.
bonus, equivalent to a bonus.
Oh, equivalent to those.
Yes.
See, I was adding that to get 12 and you were saying 11.
Now, all this, the next sheet is the 2020 budget request worksheets. This is provided to the board because when we compile the budget, we go through, we do all the manpower and the payrolls, we calculate all that. We do all the contracts, the federal grants, the state grants, and anything that is a mandatory requirement within the county. Now, here is a list that's made up of things that the Board of Supervisors contributes to every year. This is the budget amount in 19. this is the proposed budget amount to the right for 2020 and what is right now currently in the rough draft final for the budget. The Board of Supervisors will have to have time to go look at this, to decide, not today, but time to look through it, to decide where you all want to contribute to on each one of these departments. And as you can see, right now, for 2019, we budgeted $44,550 for donations and various programs and initiatives y'all wanted to do. Well, there was an additional $64,000 that came in. So again, you're at $110,000 for requests, and you've got $34,000 to spend. So here's where it comes into the hard part. And we have to go in, y'all will have to make the decision on how we, contribute to each one of these programs or initiatives or throughout. Next is, of course, the FY proposed 2019-20 draft budget. I have given the variances. This is the detailed breakdown of what y'all have seen on the revenue. This is what y'all have seen on the expenditures and the breakdown of the donations or programs that y'all want to sustain. This also, again, includes a 5% pay raise for right now. That's what we've got drafted based off the revenues, and a breakdown of all the departments and expenditures on both sides. And at the end of the budget, which is, I think, 63 pages to that effect, we have also included since the school superintendent, we have included the superintendent's budget needs too at the end. Is there any questions? Yes, sir.
I think I can save the county some money. We thought we were here today to give you all an update on the SCC joint agreement, and so I misunderstood that and continued the public hearing to now. If y'all don't have any questions about that, we'll just email it to everybody, give you an update, and we can tell you now what the communications Joyce has had with the SCC, and that way we can leave and save the county some money.
We should go ahead and have a report
Since you're here, why don't you go ahead and report?
Yes, that's what I said. Tell us what you know since you're here.
Okay. As I told y'all before, Joyce made contact with the one lawyer in the whole SEC division that handles jointers. It's not a big market. And so he and she recorded.
Their agenda
With
didn't,
the
it just called for the budget.
budget workshop.
Okay.
Oh,
You
that's
want
right.
us to amend it, Katie?
I think if we're gonna take up something out of order, we would have to have a motion to amend the agenda to put that in front of this.
I'll make the motion, we amend the agenda to include, report from Frank Kilgore on Castlewood Water and Sewer and Russell. Second. PSA.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Good catch.
I noticed y'all were staring at us while we were here. So, this attorney, when we sent in a sample of what we were going to send, I'm glad we decided to do it the way we did. They had a complete different set of regulations that didn't comply with the statute, which means if we hadn't had this contact, it would have got shipped back to us. So Joyce convinced them that their regs were wrong, and so now we proved to them that we're in compliance with the notice in the paper for the public hearing. So that was a close call, but that's why I wanted to get ahead of this. So now Joyce has everything that they want changed. We'll get that ready, send it to you all again. We need certified copies of all the resolutions that had anything to do with the jointer from the PSA, the county, and Castlewood. And those are exhibits we have to send in. And as for the public hearing being extended until today, I didn't see it on the agenda, so we probably would have to have a new public hearing if we ever had to redo this thing.
Yes, we were going to extend it to the 20th.
Oh, to the what?
They did vote to extend it at the last meeting, it's just, it was not on the agenda, so that's why.
Okay.
It was a continued meeting, so they can amend the agenda, but they did vote to recess it until
Until
today.
today.
So-
Okay.
And everything's already
You
done.
might amend the
Because we had to
agenda
come
today.
back and
In case there were changes, if there were changes that needed to be made, that way we didn't have to re-advertise. So that was the purpose of
So we need to go
continuing.
ahead and amend the agenda again to,
No, we would just,
No.
at this point, if there's no changes recommended, then we can close the public hearing. It's
Well-
just,
okay.
or do we need to keep it open?
The changes that the SEC told Joyce about, I don't think would come under the joinder as much as the amended articles of incorporation, right, Joyce?
Yeah, I mean, we just have to send them all, here's just the SEC representative, which is telling me of all the things that they need to see. There's some things they need to see, but it's not become part of the record, they just wanna make sure, with like the joinder agreement, they wanna see it, but it's not gonna become part of
Okay.
the record. It's just-
I'll get Joyce to go ahead and do an updated status
Oh,
by
one change.
email.
There was one change, we just had to put "the" in front of
Yeah.
Castlewood Water Sewage.
Yeah, in the old articles, I was trying to amend it through this amendment, but they want us to keep it the Russell County Public Service Water Authority. Because that's what's in the records, and to do a name change would have to do a separate process. So let's just keep it the, which is unusual. And if you ever want to amend it, we can do that by different process later on. So that's part of the public hearing.
Katie, is there any action we need to take?
And I don't have the minute, I don't think we actually approved the articles, did we? We kept them open? Or we-
Yeah,
or
we need to
approved-
approve the
What,
articles.
so if they have not been previously approved, we would need to, but
I'm
I
going
don't know if
ahead
Vicki
and-
has the minutes if they were approved. If not, if they were approved at the Monday meeting, then the only thing that would need to be is that the articles previously approved would be amended to be the Russell County Public Service Authority instead of Russell County Public Service Authority.
Yeah, both authorities have to say they go in that.
They're approved. So you would just need to vote, you would just need to vote to change that. So, a motion to approve an amendment to the articles approved on May 6th to, change Russell County Public Service Authority to the Russell County Public Service Authority.
We approved the articles. We did not close the public hearing, just in case.
Right.
Yeah.
But you just need to do the, make a motion to add the.
Yeah, add
The
the,
Russell County.
I'll make that motion.
We're not actually adding it, it's already there.
Well, upon advice from our attorney, can you state how that needs to be?
it's, the articles that were presented, as an attachment, that's what you approved. You would just need to amend those previously approved articles to include the, in reference to Russell County Public Service Authority.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All right. Legal counsel, you will correct it, make our language correct.
Yes, that's what will be sent to the SEC.
All right. All right, we have a motion, and David and Steve second. Any more discussion?
I just have one question. So that this means that this is the final. There's no more suggestions coming back from the SEC on this?
Well, we can't guarantee that.
Okay.
They send in everything they said, and then they send something back. But as of the last time George talked to them, that's all the changes they wanted, and they were very cooperative. Now, you never know when you send it in, what could happen. This is the last one we know of. They're very fresh.
And they were, and this is the first time the SEC has seen this, at least the gentleman in the position that he's been, the two authorities in the same county combined, and seeing the ones, certain regs apply to two localities together, and so I had to convince him to change his regs to match our situation, so.
And they do make that modification.
Right, yes, he said he was gonna change his language in his, in the SEC. Apparently, he writes the regulations.
On the preliminary review, was the only suggestions they had just during the preliminary?
Correct, yeah, just adding the word "the" to.
That's not bad for that much further.
He confused two localities with two political subdivisions.
Yeah.
Are we ready to do a formal submittal now?
Yes.
Okay.
We'll get
All right.
all the
We just have to
documents.
have all those certified resolutions.
Yeah.
All
We'll
right.
need to close the public hearing, because my guess is they
Yeah.
wouldn't do that until a public hearing is.
Right. So we are now voting on the name change. Make sure we've done that, or to add the to it. So we have a first and we have a second. Now, all in favor?
Aye.
Now,
Katie, do we want to close that public hearing, or do we want to wait till she gets more information back from there?
No, I think you have to close it before they're gonna,
Yeah,
process
submit
the
it,
application.
submit
So at
it.
some point, you're gonna have to, just, if they send it back, we know what the process is. We have to advertise it and go back. Start over.
That's what we're trying.
So now, okay, now, with that being said, we just close the public hearing on the Castlewood and Russell County PSA joint. All right. Closed.
May want to make that.
Make a motion and a second, yes.
I'll make that motion.
All right, second. Okay, Harry. All right, any discussion? All right, all those voting, all those in favor, aye. Any noes? All right,
Sorry to let you.
No,
That's
I'll
but
say this minute.
okay.
There you go.
That's right.
Thank you.
See y'all.
But during the whole process, change word the is very minimal.
Yeah.
Katie told us, we'll get with you, Vicki, we'll give her those certified copies of all the resolutions.
And then I guess the joint
Yeah,
agreement
the joint
needs to be
agreement.
signed.
Yes.
And if I know Frank and Joyce were just here for that one issue. If you wish for me to stay too, or
That's a pleasure.
Do we need an attorney?
Do we need with this, with the budget?
No. Do you?
that's up to you. I just wanted to make sure.
Here's how well
We got you on
agree.
speed dial.
I'm just going back to my office. I know it's coming back.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
We haven't got
Thanks,
anybody, so
Katie.
this is easy.
Appreciate you.
See y'all.
See you.
Again, back to the budget, what we have submitted, of course, again, is the tax rates. Y'all have decided not to raise taxes during this fiscal year of any time. And to work within our means. You have looked at the revenue.
Is that a question?
Question?
Is that a question?
It's too late. There's
Act like it's a project a little bit.
I think he's hoping.
Again, here's the summary of the revenue and expenses analysis and the breakdown of what mitigated some of those during the years of 2015 and 16, and the ones that have for the last two fiscal years, of course, with the Northern Hurricane. Again, here is a summary review of how you expend your money and the funds within the county. And again, this implements the raise with only $138,000 impact. The budget committee, we shifted numbers, we cut costs over the last 4 years, and this is the net effect as of right now. Y'all will have to go back with what money that we have remaining in funds and look at the budget request worksheets and decide how you want to appropriate the remaining funds between the donations and the different programs and initiatives. And again, you have the total detailed breakdown of the budget on the revenue and expenses by classification, by the taxations, by the grants, the feds, and also the breakdown between each department within the county. Any questions? Again, we can listen to, we have the school superintendent here and the treasurer.
Do you want this done today?
No, sir.
No, we just be looking at it.
Yes.
Okay.
Because y'all will have to reconvene.
I'd like to tell the board, I have one request that I'd like to talk about. In looking at parks and looking at community centers, I come to find out that I don't have either. Although the ballpark is called Lebanon, it's actually in Keenan's district, Keenan Gray. And although I can probably claim work in it. But I've come to understand that apparently the wellness center is now my community center, according to some of the ladies and gentlemen that are there. So, and they're in need of equipment, just, stuff that wears out over time. And I'd like, in lieu of a park and rec, takes care of 99% of everything within my district, but there are some areas outside of the town. And I'd like a $2,500 line item put in the fitness center, just for miscellaneous fitness supplies, if you can work that in, Lonzo, if the board would be in agreement with that. And that would suffice as part of the regular community center, because I think a good portion of it's social anyway, and they admit that. They admit that. So.
Well, we were talking about that. We bought all that equipment, $2,000. Where is that equipment stored? Been stored ever since we bought that, right?
Part of it is. Part
Is
of
there
it,
any way we
not
can
all of it.
sell that or get rid of it, or are we gonna use it?
I think what we've asked them to do, do you want to talk about the wellness center, Lonzo?
I was kind of waiting on Ernie, because Ernie was supposed to be in here.
He's
back-
here.
There's
Well,
Ernie.
I know Miss Short came to us in Richmond, wanting us to buy that equipment. We told her to negotiate the price, and she wanted the equipment, so we bought it, and it has been stored, so
Part of it.
we need, yeah, part of it's in use. And so we do need to see if we can sell it, use it, not just let it be stored,
If
so.
we sell it, that money can go.
Go toward to pay your.
What we
landlord.
asked them to do is, that, if you go up there and look around, a lot of that equipment's jammed in there pretty tight. They don't have enough space really, but ask them to go through and look at those machines and see if there's any duplication, and if one machine's better than the other, and if they can thin them out. And some of them are, where they've been moved around so much, I guess, are sort of in disrepair. So we need to take an inventory of them and decide what they do or don't need, and I'm in agreement to get rid of them.
Yeah, we need to maintain it.
Other than that, we're just storing them,
Can I make a suggestion to the board? On the space that's down there, there was a limited amount of equipment based off of what was purchased. That purchase, it was actually, if you're on the market value, if you looked at it, it would cost more. Now, if you determine more, it would have been more. Second is, if would the board, at the board's pleasure, if y'all wanted to, after Ernie gets through talking in a future date, on the equipment, y'all might look at maybe giving it to the schools, the athletic programs, some of the weights, some of the football players, some of the scholars, because if you go around, there, I don't think Dr. Brown would turn down any weightlifting equipment to that.
Or if one of the community centers
Or
has space for
Or that
machine.
is.
Thank
And
you,
Lou's already got her
Thank you,
dibs on a few
Steve.
pieces.
Well, I mean,
I got a plan.
if somebody has space for it, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
She does.
I think there's other uses, if we just did it, instead of just, we've got a good price on it, there is some work that needs to be done, and we're kind of seeing how everything works out, and right now, and I'll let, if y'all were done with me, I'll let Ernie talk about BDH and the sheriff's department.
Well, the sheriff's office too, I just toured the facility out there, they said they could use some of that in their weight room area downstairs.
That'd be good, I got that. Keep it by that, if we was to give it to the schools, community centers, the sheriffs.
You got enough to spread
yes,
around,
yeah.
spread the love around,
Yeah.
to all of us can.
You wanna talk to
But
them?
I just think some of it needs to be looked at, and
Yeah.
it's not that it can't be fixed, it's just, it's being used. Somebody needs to work on it.
Well, no, I know Ernie's coming, so not to belabor this, but we did have kind of a plan for the Castlewood Community Center because the lower space was gonna be cleaned out, and I don't know are we cleaned out now, Alonzo?
We are clean this week and get it without the current owners.
But that was rescue squads, wasn't it, or
Yes,
the fire
it is,
department?
it is the fire
Where are they
department.
gonna put it?
That is still to be determined.
We don't want
You asked me a question.
We don't want it. The sheriff's department came in this morning while you were gone, and we're hunting for a place to put some steps.
We're running out of space, and that's what Ernie's going to talk to you about. We're running out of
Building another
space.
building behind it.
Well,
We are, and that's a good thing. Y'all are keeping taxes level. You're growing, there's jobs coming, but we're running out of space is another problem.
well, but we can make more money, I think, if we can sell our exercise. Tell me what this is called again. I'm so sorry, I've lost it, Steve. Your new
Wellness
community
center,
center.
fitness
The
center.
wellness center, fitness center. So if we can make places and find places around our communities that those folks could still pay their dues and have access to local community centers or wherever this exercise equipment can go, you can grow your wellness center. It's my thoughts. I've got folks that are interested, they just don't want to drive to Lebanon every single day to exercise and spend that 20 minutes or 25 minutes or whatever on the road. But if we could do that locally, I think that would resolve some problems, and we can add to Steve's new wellness center stuff for his community center. Yeah, I'm all about that. I think that's a great idea. I'm with you, Steve.
And Ernie will tell you that if we did have a business approach us wanting the equipment, if they thought we were moving. They did, but for the price we got in it, if you could give it to the schools and the community centers, I think you'd get more benefit out of it than you would just selling it straight out.
It just needs a little TLC.
And some of it is minute.
I've seen it, some of it's really good.
Yes. And we can go through and we've got an inventory list, I can work with Kim, we can look and see what the current maintenance status on each one of them is, and see, and go out to the community center leaders and say, okay, this is what we got, what do you want? And then, this is what we can eat. Each where you go, there's different.
Some would want it, some won't.
Yeah.
It's got the older population.
No, but I'm looking for a formal program that we can be tied into the wellness fitness center here in Lebanon and pay our dues and be able to go and have these programs and do fitness like it's supposed to be done in a program. That's what I'm looking for.
And with the room that's in the bottom of the Castlewood Community Center, that would work, because there's 2,000.
Yes, we could work that out.
You might have some money in that area.
That's a big area down there. Yes, it is. Ernie, you want to talk about the?
Well, first, I think we need to amend the agenda again, because the first amendment, that when we amended it, it was simply for Castlewood Water and Sewer. We did not know Ernie was coming, so this is another factor.
Yeah.
So we need to amend the agenda again so that we can say we're going to talk about IDA projects. So.
And that was my fault, because when I was talking to him, it is part of the budget process, because y'all got to decide what y'all want to do.
Our attorney's gone, so.
Our attorney's gone, so.
Is that okay?
Safely, I would do it.
To be safe, I'd rather do another
And that's my fault.
amend it again.
I'll make a motion to amend the agenda to add Ernie as our chairman of the IDA.
Okay, I'd rather be safe than sorry, because we owe it to the public. Thank you, gentlemen, I appreciate
You're
that.
welcome.
All right, any discussion? All right, all those in favor of adding this? Aye. Any opposed? No.
Thank you, Madam
Sorry,
Chair.
Ernie.
No, it's okay.
No, thank you, Madam Chair.
You are officially added.
I'm
You
officially on the agenda. Well, talking about the wellness center, I guess the first thing that I need to know is what is your desire for the wellness center moving forward? Because that plays into what's happening with VDH. And so I need to know what the end result, what you'd like to see.
It has to continue. If it doesn't continue, I'm gonna send about the 25 little old ladies down to your office. One of them being my wife.
Yeah.
But see, that leads to the cost of it, which we'll all be discussing in the budget.
Right.
Where it's gonna be, the cost of it, how much we're subsidizing it, and that type of stuff. It'll be in the,
Give us summary.
yeah.
Has the town voted on what they're gonna do yet?
Tonight.
Tonight?
They
Okay.
voted tonight.
Because I understand they may not want that part of
They
the
don't.
exercise part.
They
They
don't.
don't.
As I understand, they're gonna make their facility free to town residents. And they don't, it conflicts with what we would be doing. So, it's good,
I mean,
it
we're
didn't
gonna
work
have
out.
to
Yeah,
keep
that,
it some way.
that sort of hurt us, and as we was moving forward, we thought it was gonna be a joint venture that we was working together with the town, and they sort of changed directions on what they wanted to
I
do.
think we need to move it down here, give them a little more space, what they need. They are jammed in there. They've got, the one room that they use is about 1,000 square feet. They probably need about 1,500 square feet in that one room.
Yeah.
They probably need 2,500, well, they got 2,600 right now. They
It's
need about
about
3,000 square feet, the rest would be.
And again, we apologize that for Ernie to come in, I was thinking it would be part of the budget proposal because, see, these two projects are different than his economic development projects. This is under the county's purview. When he brings these people in, the community center is a board of supervisors. This is a service that's provided by the board of supervisors. To move the facility would be out of his scope and my scope because the board would have to decide to move the fitness center or to move the VDH. And what put this on the fast track is they come in and said, we want it all. So this was Friday. So, I mean, and we're trying to, and they're on the fast track, so we're trying to move as efficiently, as fast as we can, but we cannot move without the board's approval or knowledge or the notice to proceed. Did I hit it on the summary?
Yeah, that's pretty good. So I guess the short and sweet of where we are now, given the town's change in direction. If we continue the fitness center, like you talked about, obviously our best option is to move it into our storage space that we have. That is 6,000 square feet of useless space right now. It's just full of junk.
Where's everybody gonna put their junk?
We'll leave that one up to Lonzo.
Okay.
Ernie, could you talk into the microphone, please?
Sorry, didn't know you couldn't hear me.
I was having trouble.
Oh, I apologize. So, I mean, that's obviously our easiest space to utilize because it's already here. It would take very little to renovate it to make it usable for the fitness center. That's an option that Lonzo and I talked about, and we've sort of laid it out. The other part that changed with VDH is they need more space than we initially was going to offer them. They can actually use all of the space where workforce used to be, as well as where Scott and all his group is. So they want that whole corridor.
The co-op.
The co-op, yeah. So,
Extension service.
yeah. So with that said, we would have to build out part of this 6,000 square feet for the co-op.
Scott and him.
For Scott, yeah,
They need about 7 also.
I think so.
It's
And
a good
they're adding a
problem to
couple of
have.
other people. So,
It's-
yeah, it's a good problem to have.
As I understood it, the health department wanted where the fitness center is
Right.
now for their clinic area
That's
because of
correct.
the street access.
Yes. Yeah, this will be.
But their offices would come back down this way.
Yeah, everything that's at Cumberland Plateau now would be back here.
Yeah.
In this side. But this is their plans that I just picked up a few minutes ago, so they've got it ready, and from my understanding, they're ready to move as soon as I can get the space ready. So, and it's a $12 a square foot lease price is what we're gonna be paying.
That
So
works out pretty good.
So
it's a big improvement from where we are now.
Yeah.
the rents and such will pay, should offset some of the costs.
It will, yeah, I think we can offset
And you'll
all the
ultimately
costs.
make
You
money.
think you could offset all the costs by
I think so.
doing in this
I
area?
think with the additional rent that we're gonna get from them, as compared to you take workforce and what they was paying, which was less than half that.
Can you move a lot of that, stuff that we're warehousing down to the Cleveland school?
Yeah.
A lot of it's going-
I know a lot of it's down there now, but, I mean, if you
But
organize it
ultimately,
really
it's
well.
when it goes from here.
Well, what I told Ernie is, the board, he can't make that decision and neither can I from our position. When we had VDH, when we walked on many occasions, different people, they had a certain area. Well, they went back and they got in the committee and then they got on the phone with us and said, we want it all. If you can give it all. And the fitness center, again, is a service that's provided by the Board of Supervisors. So is the co-op. Now, the co-op positions are paid by Virginia Tech, and they're a grant, but your offices that you give, the space that you provide to them is the Board of Supervisors. So there's no way that we could move forward or even negotiate with them any farther other than with you today to make, we'll have to make decisions soon, not today, but
Have you had a conversation with, the co-op?
we,
Jesse and those guys?
this came down Friday. We need to have time to talk to Scott yet.
No, Scott came to me and talked to me about he needs more space. 'Cause
So he needs more space.
He needs a couple more offices than what he's got now, because he's got a couple.
So that would probably work out better for
This will
him.
accommodate that.
Yeah.
That would accommodate his need,
Yeah, and the
as
one
well
change
as their
that,
need.
yeah, the one change that we'll have to make is this hallway that's directly behind you would have to be a common area, a common corridor, that we could tie straight back there and make that a direct path to that space. Because there's no access from outside.
The only thing I'd ask, Ernie, when you get involved into the layout of the fitness center, pull some of those girls, the instructors
Oh,
in there,
yeah,
let them kind
absolutely.
of work with you on it.
Yeah, because it
'Cause
makes
they-
everybody much happier if they put their input in.
Absolutely. It'll be,
Get those
Yeah.
it's a
25
far
women.
better world,
Yeah.
believe me.
That's a lot of opinions, but we'll take it. Yeah.
I didn't believe how many people you could cram in Lonzo's office.
So I guess the biggest thing for me that I need is for you to consider if you want to utilize the space, if you want me to move forward with the plans, what that might look like, the cost versus revenue, which I can do all that pretty quick for you. And
But once that's done, we're out of space essentially, aren't we? Unless somebody
Yes.
moves.
we are,
So the next step is to
Build.
another building.
yeah, I'm officially out.
And I mean, I know.
Which is a good
I mean, you've talked too, I mean, with the amount of influx and you kind of, these businesses kind of, you could probably fill it up.
I think so. Yeah, I think we could.
What kind of timeline on this health department?
2 months.
2 months?
Build out.
We gotta get this.
That's what I was.
How quick you need this motion?
Pretty soon.
Well,
I'd look,
Wherever we move this stuff, we need to move it, and I have to move it again.
Again,
Yeah.
right.
I don't need to move it completely,
This is it.
if we still got something going there. Is it?
well, I don't know where we're gonna move it right now.
That's what I was gonna ask.
Okay.
No, I'm-
Where we
If
move
we
it.
gotta move
Right.
it again.
I can't-
wherever it is, because Cleveland School may be gone too, but what I asked Ernie again to come, to not throw it on the fast track and surprise the board members, that,
We got a spare part.
I know, first we gotta move it out, but again, we didn't put it on the fast track, BDH put this on the fast track, we didn't, and I said, Ernie, you've gotta go talk to the board of supervisors, they have to make this decision. I didn't know whether he'd be able to make it today or not, to tell you the truth, but if y'all decide to do it, but he needs first get a cost to make sure you know what you're buying. You know, he needs to get a cost of what the outbuild is to make sure that that's how y'all want to proceed, and how fast do you think you can get the outbuild, a set of,
Yes.
The overall
estimate on
cost,
it?
within a couple weeks,
Couple weeks.
at most, yeah.
So you think you can do it by the, June 1st board?
Yeah.
Okay,
So we just need to delay it.
yeah.
Would that give you enough time?
I just give you a month.
That just give you 30 days?
I don't know about that.
I don't think you can do it in 30.
If you seen what we've done in 30 days, you would be amazed. Ask the sheriff's department.
Yeah. It doesn't have to, Harry, it don't have to be built out in 2 months. That's,
You're going to.
that's,
It don't have to be
you
built
don't have to
out.
do
They
that.
can't do it
No,
for
that's not a, that's
All
not a
right.
timeline. That's how long it's gonna take once I start.
Okay.
There's no way you can do it.
No.
They ain't
We'll
no way.
wait a month.
No, no, it's not
I start to say, they ain't no way,
No,
they ain't no way.
No, it's not possible.
So may I ask a question I'm not understanding? So you're gonna redo the insides of this building and then add an addition to the building?
No.
No
All
addition,
inside.
all this is interior, so everything
Yes.
is under roof
Yeah.
at this time
Yes.
with semi-infrastructure in place?
HVAC's already there.
Thank you.
Yes.
This
That's correct.
mount, add walls, basically. Walls,
Yeah.
doors, hallways.
For Scott's area, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it'll be, I mean, just to give you an idea.
Increase he gets for the health, it's gonna be a wash, pretty much.
That was my next question. Do you think you can make the numbers to work to where it's no impact to the cost on the outbuild?
I think so. I mean, it was already gonna be a very easy wash with what we was looking at before we added this part up here, so yeah, I think that's very, very good.
I understand, thank you.
Yeah, if you don't mind, provide the estimate. I mean, right now, there's nothing to agree to that they have not seen, but but you can't slow down BDH. They want to go either way.
We're ready to move.
You're gonna have to,
We want to accommodate them.
thank you. With that kind of increase in rent, I mean, that's a no-brainer.
Well, I mean, just using DSS as a scenario, it was $550,000 to build that out. That was 14,000 square feet. This down there, you're looking at, well, combining both of them, 5,000 to 6,000 square feet, it's about half. So course, they've got some more expensive items that they're gonna have to have, but, I mean, I'm thinking $300,000 or $400,000 is probably gonna be my max number. And we're gonna be real close on revenue at the end of the day.
Just like they out 5 years.
5 to 7, max, yes.
That's it. Bill.
I can tell you exact ones, now that I've got these, I can get more exact numbers, but
How long have you had that?
I just
You
picked it
didn't?
up like 5 minutes ago.
Okay, that's what I said, I didn't know he would be here.
Yeah, I just got it.
Now, this is how the health department wants their spots.
That's correct.
Service or
Yeah.
areas.
I wish I could talk to Scott and see exactly, what he needs, and get that part lined out, but the biggest thing, to make this work, wherever you're gonna move your items to back here, that has to happen first. I mean, that's the very first thing that has to
That's
happen.
logical.
Because I can't start, if you want the fitness center or the wellness center to continue,
Well, no, you need to find your big
Where
partners.
do you think you'll put, Mr. Jesse, those 7 offices?
as soon as you would go into that, we would put that in the front section of that area, and the fitness center would occupy all the back area.
The commissioner revenue area, you're gonna have a place for the commissioner revenue, secure area, there'll be enough room. Where he's storing all these files.
To maintain his stuff there?
Yeah.
That has to be
And
treasure
the
too.
treasurer.
That has to
Do
be.
they have to stay here?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
but
part
what,
of
minimum
Appalachia,
7 years?
never take up a big spot. Part of Appalachia, 100,000 brochures.
I mean, do you have the capacity and capability of second level? You don't?
No.
No.
I didn't think so, but I just thought of that.
No. One thing we don't have back there is there's no shelving of any kind. Everything's just on the floor. So, like a lot of your records, I think if we had some shelving, we could minimize it a lot.
I know part of the, like, some of that with treasurer and commissioner revenue's gotta be secure area, you know? Secure
Yeah, we have
file.
to keep it, yeah, it has to stay 7 years.
Fireproof and secure, right?
I don't know that it has to be fireproof, I probably would be,
It's not fireproof then.
I know.
Yeah, I just need to know how much area they need, so I can work around them.
I know we had that conversation for months about the standard.
Can't remember what it's 7 years.
Yeah.
Which the majority of, some of our stuff though is, it's backed up, so, you know, on the computer system too.
Right.
So we've got 2 copies.
Yeah. But it would essentially be file cabinets, is that what you were?
Yeah, and some shelving. I know we store a lot of our paper that we use, our copy machine paper down there, because we don't have room in our office to store it, so we have a lot of that down there. But we couldn't just put outside in any kind of facility, because it would,
Yeah, it's staying in.
yeah.
Loses integrity.
What if you had an outbuilding outside that said 10 to 20?
Would it be climate controlled?
Would it have to be for that paper?
I would think so.
I think so.
Yeah,
Get it LD or anything?
No, you won't want to get it milled.
yeah.
I will address one more item, but I can't, since we're in open session, I can't address it a whole lot, but you mentioned the Cleveland school, and I will go ahead and tell you that the inspection that came back on it was not favorable, and the roof was even worse, so it's not going to be able to be utilized for business.
It won't. Will not.
So that's probably where storage is.
We've got a storage place even there.
We don't have 2 places, either building and Castlewood.
No storage at my place.
You're not one of these storage.
She wants that exercise quick.
You do have the Givens building, I think, as well, right, the Givens school?
No, yeah.
Not yet. I hope you don't have, I hope it's still operational.
We can keep it. Pick and keep it.
Okay, any other questions? All right.
Ernie, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Thanks, Ernie.
Thanks for all your hard work.
I couldn't wait for June, they've been moving in.
Yeah, thank you, I appreciate your time.
There's trailers in.
All right, Lonzo, I do have a question with the health and fitness center, I was going through that. The budget here, is this contractual, I noticed you've got 3,000. Does that cover all the people that, with the extra? Because I know we've got one that does the bikes and you've got 2 that do yoga. Will this be enough in the budget to cover all the expenses? And I'm not sure what page it is, sorry about that.
46.
Yeah, 46, sorry about that, I'm overlooking it.
The instructors are all part-time. You got that?
Yeah, but, when you go through the,
3,000 or something.
is that gonna be enough to help you? Because you got 3 extra people. And they get about $300-$400 that's not good. Through the yoga and the bike and the other.
Okay, let me talk with Kim to see what she has outlined
Okay.
in her schedules to make sure that that line item is
Got it, good.
got
Okay.
sufficient.
Okay.
Got it.
Anyone else have comments or want to look at anything? Anything we need to go through some of this stuff?
That is way-
Is this when we can talk about whatever we want
That is way
as far as the budget?
Alonzo?
Hello?
Yep.
Tim, what'd you say?
Well, I mean, what are we discussing what we,
Our wishes, our wish list, things we need, concerns with what we have, because we're gonna have to come back and have a public hearing, vote, and get this budget going. We're running out of time.
when are we talking about coming back?
Our June meeting probably, or before, yeah.
Well, I'd like to ask the board to consider a few things, if I could.
Anything, we can discuss anything that's related to
To
the
this
budget.
budget.
To the budget or the operations of the budget, yes, from the financial perspective.
Well, I'd like to ask that we consider doing the 6% teacher raise instead of a 5%. I know the teachers are very appreciative of the 5%. But, you know, the state is providing a lot of that 5%, and our neighbors are probably gonna be given 5% also, and we're gonna still be at the bottom. They've been very understanding. Dr. Brown, I know, has put together a committee to study salaries, and our teachers have been wonderfully understanding. They know this didn't happen overnight as far as getting, you know, on the bottom of the list. They know they're not gonna get off overnight, but if we could just make some headway over our surrounding counties. Because if they give 5, we give 5, we gain nothing.
So Dr. Brown, not to put you on the spot, did you build a 6% into your budget, or what could you live with?
Well, the budget need that I provided, shared, I guess, the detailed information. When it comes to the LCI, and calculate in the amount for 1% pay raise, when you look at that dollar amount, and again, a lot of people just don't understand, but you know, with the LCI, and you look at a raise, there's a component obviously that the board of supervisors has to pay. So when you look at 5% pay raise, the SOQ funding for that is roughly $300,000 for the locality to absorb. And then when you add to that non-SOQ funded positions, for 5% pay raise across the board, it's roughly $475,000. Now again, as Mr. Lovelace was mentioning there, our teachers came forward, the RCBA came forward and asked the board to consider a task force to evaluate and make recommendations to the board for teacher salary, employee salary, period, moving forward. And out of that, we've had 2 meetings, very, very good open conversations, and I think very rational conversations. And basically the sentiment was it's taken us a long time to get in this spot, and no one no one in this room had a responsibility in getting us to that point, but I do think the group understands, the teachers understand it's going to take us a little while, obviously, to get out of that situation. So the request that they had, and it's not necessarily dedicated to just this fiscal year's budget, but just period going forward, was to adopt a +1 philosophy. So if we can get, a 1.5% pay raise from the state, maybe we shoot for 2.5%. If the state says 3, we look at 4. And the thought there was simply to improve our standing with the school divisions around us, and to get us out of the, the situation where we are ranked basically in the bottom 4 or 5 school divisions in the state when it comes to teacher salary. So the request was again to respect the teachers and to make that request. The board supported that recommendation. So that additional percent, each percent, if it's not funded through the state in some way, shape, or form, each percent is roughly about $275,000 for our employees. So when you add all of that together, you're looking at about $750,000 of local commitment in order to do a 6% pay raise.
Do you have any idea what surrounding counties?
We do have Region 7 Superintendent's meeting, and we have twice, the last 2 meetings, went around the table and talked about that. And I think a lot of school divisions are in the same predicament that we are, and that is the Board of Supervisors or the Town Council still working on that very thing as far as the budget is concerned. But there are some school divisions that are looking at, unique things, 3% plus a step. There's all types of combinations out there. Some are just looking at totally redoing the teacher salary scale. The issue comes with certification. We have to certify that the money has been dedicated towards salaries for SOQ and support staff funded positions. So that's going to be coming up in the near future. You got a 3% that has a July 1st kick-in date, and then the 2% for the total of 5. The other 2% has a kickoff date of September 1 for that. I mean, basically it's going to be the same thing because, again, teachers really don't start their salary year until that August 1st day, if you will. So, but again, to answer your question just first, there's an assortment of things going on. There's some that are doing 4, some that are doing 5, some are doing 3 in steps, some are just redoing their entire salary scale. But again, almost all of those things have yet to be approved by the Board of Supervisors, and again, back to the Board of Ed for final approval. This is kind of a back and forth thing. We by the Code of Virginia have to provide you with that budget of need. You've probably seen it in different forms prior to how before I came along. It's just how I have always done it. We have to provide you with that by March 30 every year, and then you guys, of course, would respond to that out of your work here. And then we would go back and have a late June meeting where we would take that feedback from the Board of Supervisors and then adjust our budget accordingly, and then we'd both finalize our budget, then we'd give it back to Mr. Lester so that he could put that in an entire packet of all the entities in the county.
A flat rate raise, you ever thought about that?
Yes, and that's something that going forward I'd like to do. In speaking to some of the superintendents, we're doing some of them are just pretty unique things. I know in Smith County, Dr. Carter's looking at basing the percentage raise off the top of the scale and then getting that dollar amount to everyone in the scale. And what happens is you compress your scale, which is a good thing. Okay, compressing your scale is good, expanding it is bad. When you look at the spread from the beginning of your teacher to someone with 35, 38 years, you're talking well over $23,000, $4,000 worth of difference for people that literally could be side by side in a school. So one of the things that, again, one of the creative things that's going on out there, and I'd like to look at this moving forward, is to compress that scale. So what would that look like possibly? So let's say next year the state says, okay, we're going to give a 3% pay raise. Maybe we go to the top of the scale and we say, okay, what would that pay raise be? 3% for the top, and let's say, I don't know, it's $1,500. We take that $1,500 and we apply it to everyone in the scale. And what happens, that person at the bottom is actually going to get maybe a 4.2% pay raise when it's all said and done, because we're compressing that scale, and then we're decreasing the difference between the top and the bottom. So that's what we like to do. Our scale, as far as starting salaries, our scale, we are almost the lowest in the entire state. Okay, there were some school divisions that didn't report, so I can't really say we are, but it wouldn't surprise me if we're not the lowest in the state at $31,700 to start.
But with that, say if it was 2%, if you're gonna give that same to everybody, that 2% mandated becomes something substantially larger than 2% overall.
It would, yes. But again, to get an equal dollar amount was the question. Right, the person at the top of, say you were to choose, and I think Bristol City actually tried this, and he's receiving a lot of pushback from it. Keith tried the 20-year mark, and he said, okay, let's figure out yourself the salary raise for the 20-year person, okay, on that percentage. Let's say it's 3%. So he went to the 20-year mark, and he said, okay, what's that scale, or that salary on that scale at that point? Let's give them a 3% pay raise, and let's say again it's $1,400.
Yeah.
We'll give everybody above and below $1,400, and it still does compress the scale, not as much.
See, you're not going to the very top level. You're dropping somewhere in between.
Now, that's what he was doing. Now, what Dr. Carter's thinking of and working on in Smith County is to start at the top, because it's going to compress it quicker.
If it's 5% of 100,000, it's 5,000, and then 5% of 30 is 1,500. You'll never get no.
You'll never catch up.
Right. As long as we stick to percentages, you're right.
Yeah, it's just gonna get wider and wider.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
To get the lower part up, the teachers really on the lower part, to get them up, you've got to go to something different.
Right.
I like your Smith County scenario.
Yeah, and that's something I like to look at going forward. You know, sometimes the state kind of handcuffs us to a certain degree, because again, I'm gonna have to certify on this money. Sometimes you don't have to. I got certified on this money this year. So when you certify, you're guaranteeing that everyone gets at least that percent. That's why the Smith County system works out, because everyone gets at least that. The one that Keith was working on there in Bristol wouldn't work, because the people at the above the 20-year mark wouldn't get that percentage, and now they'd be in violation of the certification.
I see that.
Well, I've got a question I get hammered with all the time, is on this insurance. I know we're gonna have to fix it sooner or later to try to make sure that, moving along here, even you might give somebody a big raise, but then they have to eat it on the insurance side. And that, they're not benefiting when they have to face that obstacle.
Well, again, we went to a drastically different plan, and it's had some learning pains along the way, growing pains along the way, but it actually has worked out well. We had Mr. Breeding there with us, Mr. Lovelace with us, with a 4.5-hour insurance meeting last week. It was good, but we are heading in the right direction as far as the balances are concerned. So that's a positive. The usage is maintaining. Some people say we're not using as much because of the resistance maybe we're receiving from some entities, but that's actually not the case. Our usage is about the same. So we're heading in the right direction, and eventually what we'd like to do, of course, is get to an 80, 20, 70, 30 plan. Our deductible actually is in line, and our out-of-pocket limit actually is above average, maybe if you want to use that verbiage. But $2,700 out of pocket is the limit. After that, it's 100%. So yes, I totally agree with you. And again, that issue is an issue that was generated not by the work of this board or the administrator or the board there. All that was done prior decisions where we had, no increases in premiums for several years.
Yeah.
But going forward, though, I'll share with you, Mr. Eaton, that we're very excited that next year we are not going to have to raise premiums. And we are going to have some very modest improvements. We're going to go to $5 generic next year, which is an improvement. We're going to reduce the office visit from 25 to 15, and for specialists, office visits going from 35 to 25 as we move forward. We've only got about 10 months worth of data, so we're cautiously optimistic. So hopefully this time next year, we might be able to look at some of those very things where we look at a 70-30 plan.
Well, it's not just a Russell County issue. I mean, it's a
It is.
nationwide issue. I fully understand that. It's an animal in itself.
It'd be wonderful if we could maybe look at some type of regional approach to insurance where,
I'm working.
good, where we could have maybe a stronger voice, you know.
More
at
negotiating
times-
power.
Okay. At times, I think it might be, to our disadvantage, the fact that we're just simply small.
Our real issue now is that we can't get ballot to negotiate.
Well, you gotta have, more counties participating. I've got that meeting set up, but I think it'd be good, the more counties that would participate would give us
Absolutely.
more strength in numbers.
But, you know, again, moving forward next year, it looks like we are gonna have some modest improvements. And if the board can see fit for, again, the raise of whatever that percentage is, the fact that we're not gonna have any increases, and actually we're gonna have theoretically a little decrease because you're gonna have the generics and the office visit, charges being less. It's gonna be the first time in a long time that people are gonna see not only the raise, they're gonna see a little bit more than that. So it's a good thing. You guys have done good work, you really have.
Do you have a contract with Ballard Health right now?
We don't have a contract
They want-
with anyone, actually. They're agreements.
Okay, let's say you have I've had several people call me, they go in, give their card, they say, we don't recognize your insurance card. What do you, is that gonna be paid or?
Well, first of all, we can't control what the people at the front desk at Ballard, you know, has to offer to their patrons. If we were to go in there today, we're a patron of the hospital, basically. So what they share with our employees, I mean, again, that's something we can't control. But we did emphasize, and I will emphasize as we go on the tour here next week before we lose our employees for the year, I'll be going to Castlewood, Honeacre, and Lebanon, talking about insurance again, as I promised I would last year. But there's three big things our employees need to remember. You got a 50-50 plan that's got a $400 deductible, and after $2,700, it pays 100%. After that, I mean, that's the bottom line. They don't know the nuts and bolts of our insurance plan, and the people at the front desk are just that, people at the front desk.
They have to accept
So-
that card.
Excuse me?
They will accept that card.
Yes. Well, again, yes. My understanding is that they will, and if they don't, phone call, we'll get it quickly corrected. But again, we can't control, what those people at the front desk are sharing.
Now that you've answered some of those questions about the health.
It's a problem.
It's amazing.
It's definitely.
I don't know what to do.
If,
I honestly don't.
And it's not an issue with
Go
the
petition,
physicians.
go petition for
The
full answer.
physicians are fine. We've got an agreement with the physician groups.
Yeah.
We've got agreements with other institutions. The issue is that one institution.
I think it's a system-wide problem. My mother-in-law had to go to the emergency room, took her to Bristol. She sat there 2 hours before they could even see her, and she was there a total of about 14 hours before they actually were able to put her in a room. So it's, and the staff, as I understand it, who live it, I think it's an administrative issue more than it is a staff issue.
Ms. Chairman, I also have some information I'd like to share concerning capital improvements with the board. I know we've had a few discussions there, and I'd like to, share this with the board if I may.
Yes.
Okay. This is a document that we work on and we update probably about every 4 to 6 months. But this is a list of those activities that we are looking at. The first 3 pages are what we're looking at for the next couple budget cycles and quote-unquote wish list moving forward, if you will. The last 3 pages are actually projects that we have completed over the last 3 years while you've been on the board.
This is what's being completed, this list starting.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
On page 4, 5, and 6, those are actually projects that have fallen under the term of this board and the Board of Ed, obviously, during that time as well. But again, just a list for the board to have and peruse at their convenience. And again, we broke that down on the first 3 pages of the capital improvement list. We didn't, again, when we started this and when I first came, we didn't think it was really necessary go out and get hard estimates because it could be something that gets done in 6 months, or it could be something that is on the list 3 years from now. So again, we kind of, again, just group and categorize each of those activities into again, a ballpark expense.
So this is what your principals have asked for?
This has come from principals. Every year in January, I ask the principals to provide for me this document as we start our work again in providing you with that budgeted need. So I asked the principals to go out and talk to their coaches, their teachers, their custodians, to go out and walk the building. Go out and walk your building, walk your campus, and share with me those things that need attention, and we'll look at those, we'll prioritize those things, and jump on it and hopefully move forward. Some of the projects that you see on the completed list, some of that's federal money, but again, I still wanted the board to have that information available. But you're looking at things, again, with federal money, you're looking also at state project money, school security grant money, etc. Those come into play. E-rate money as well. Those projects are in there, and again, it's just good information for the board. I'll share with you that over the term of this board, our infrastructure capacity has been increased by greater than 6-fold. Right now, we're using again a fiber optic backbone through the school divisions, and right now we have the capacity to really double what we currently have and still be just fine. So we're proud of that. Of course, we've expanded the Chromebook initiative as well. With this upcoming year, we're looking at expanding that to 4th grade. So we will have more than double our Chromebook initiative during the 3 years that this board has been seated. So we're proud of that too. We have school divisions that send contingencies here to meet and spend time with us. We've had 3 different groups visit Lebanon Middle School this year to look at what we do with Rocketbooks, what we do with Chromebooks, alternative seating, things of that nature.
Oh yes, those little books were going to town this morning. So Wells got started in Russell County.
Smoking.
I saw them, bless their hearts. Children are tested every day.
I'll be happy to answer any more questions.
So you also got a priority list that says you've got it across, what, 2 budget cycles?
Yes, so those are the things that we feel that we really like to move forward with. And again, some of those are marked as significant projects that need a board of supervisors' assistance. Again, historically, during the time that this board has been seated, we can look at the roofs at Lebanon Elementary and Middle and High. We have replaced the roofs on Lebanon Elementary and Middle, and went in and done a new warranty-covered coating on the ones at the high school. Those are, of course, things that we need assistance with. Those helped also with some of the money we had left over last year as far as putting that back into the RACE program, but also when you look at projects, the Castlewood project with baseball, concession stand, press box, restroom combo, and then our big project, the biggest project this year, well, it's not true, Lebanon Elementary School is our biggest project, but the next project would be the press box revitalization at Honeacre Elementary School for the high school football field, and that's moving forward, and that should be done in the next, hopefully, 3 weeks. We're waiting on a big sheet of glass window right now. So.
This is a lot of projects that y'all completed.
Well, again, a lot of this stuff goes under the radar because you don't see it. You don't know that we got a new PA system in unless you hear it. You don't know we got new phones in unless you use it. So people in the community may not know of a lot of these things. You definitely don't know about the infrastructure change. When we go from, I guess we went from 300 meg to 2 gig on the pipe that comes in and out of Russell County. It's an increase of more than, again, 6 times the capacity. And we were able to carry that all the way to schools. So you talk about your SOL testing. We had testing going on this morning, and when those kids submitted their test, it was moving along that pipeline 40 times faster than it was in previous years.
Does Russell County, does the Career and Technology Center have a 21st Century grant?
Yes, they do.
They do have a partnership. Okay. What are some of the programs they do?
They've offered programs for the middle school kids to come up, elementary kids to come up and take a look at different things. They have summer program and such. Again, after school, trying to get exposure to those programs so that those students may have a better understanding of them as they move to the next grade level.
Well, do they do any technology, any the animation? Do they do any of that type with the MOS? Any of that?
No.
Nothing. That's all still at the build in the high
It's still
schools.
buildings. When we go to vocational school, we're normally dealing with hands-on activities like the welding and the masonry and things of that nature, auto tech and such.
All right. Any other questions on the budget? Does anybody have? I know, Lonzo, I have a question on the, I'm sorry, we may get back. Anybody else have anything on schools?
I actually do. I mentioned it while Dr. Brown's here. Could we consider, actually, everybody's aware of the request for the athletic facility at Lebanon High. Would the board object to us asking for that to be sent back to the school board? I'm not asking for any monetary changes because they're asking us for level funding anyway. But could we ask that possibly be scaled back at Lebanon and look at some money being allocated to Castlewood High for a turf field? That way all three schools has exact same football field. I think there's some things in the Lebanon plan that could be scaled back, could be pushed out on down the road a few years, maybe done later. Give everybody the same. Yes. And Castlewood already has, it needs a little work, but they have a press box, they have bleacher facilities, they have, they just need to feed the field's what's in bad shape. I just feel like we could do both. And that way all three high schools would have a turf field.
Okay, I want to be the bad guy. When that money that's coming off the debt was allocated, it was for a specific project, or 2 or 3 specific projects. It wasn't for the duration, forever and ever. When those projects are finished, I feel like it needs to come back to the county to be reallocated in some way, but it needs to be reallocated to a prioritized project. And I'm not opposed to the football field in Lebanon and Castlewood are the 2 top priority projects. More power to it, but I think did you even read the thing that I gave you last time? I'm gonna give Dr. Brown, I'll give you a copy of that, Dr. Brown. That'll probably be my motion at the next board meeting. I just think that we need to form a study committee to determine, look at all the needs in all schools. Plus, I think we need to look at the county's facilities as well to see how they intermingle. There may be some county facilities that could be used for school activities. And I think you also need to pull in maybe the community college, since they're expanding their athletic program. We might even get some money out of it.
I actually thought about that very idea and had some conversations. I think that's a wonderful idea moving forward, and I think Dr. Wright would be very open to that. They do provide Tazewell County with funding to use various facilities. Buchanan and Dickinson are a little deeper into Southwest, if you would, so that may not be quite as feasible for Southwest to use facilities there. But as far as Russell County goes, we're 25 minutes from the college, and I do think they would be very open to consider using facilities.
I think the track facility could be just natural.
And
it's not that expensive to do. But I would love nothing better to be able to put a football field in Lebanon and move it out to high school and fix Castlewood. But we need to do it. We need to prioritize these things so that nobody gets their feelings hurt, and the top priorities are met first.
Lou, Tim, Doctor, how far is it from Castlewood Community College? Because my best friend lived in Castlewood.
Well,
so-
again, when I have meetings at the community college, it takes me about 20 minutes to get there,
Yeah,
so
'cause I'm-
probably 40 minutes from Castlewood, it would be
We're over,
Yeah.
we're about an hour close to,
southwest.
from Castlewood. And further on, if you're driving from Danes, you're gonna be that much further. So if I go towards Cedar Bluff, I'm usually a good 45, 50 minutes. But I do agree with both of my board peers here. I agree that what Tim is saying, that we do need to look at the other schools and we do need to be equitable in everything that we do. I'm totally against reinvesting debt. I'm totally against debt down the road. And I feel like that we should be getting rid of our debt as quickly as possible. And I think that our review of our 2020 census is going to tell us that some things that we don't want to hear, we don't want to see in black and white, and that's going to say a reduction of students and families in our localities. And I think that that's going to be an issue, because if we push this debt 20 years down the road, I'm not going to be here over this thing, and somebody else is going to be looking at debt on top of debt, and how do we alleviate this thing and do it fairly in an equitable manner. So I'm totally against one project, one stack of dollars, and of course you and I have had that conversation, and we see eye to eye. I mean, you know what I feel like,
Yes.
not seeing eye to eye, but anyway, and that's okay. And I think a good conversation with the community. And I'm not sure that some more people need to be on Steve's proposed committee as to how this pans out, but I do think that there needs to be some sort of a feasibility plan looked at to say, how is this going to work for everybody in Tune? I do agree with that. So, but I thank you for everything. I really don't want you to think that we're just killing you on this.
No, I'm not taking it away at all. So would the board like for the Board of Ed to discuss this again or not, as far as the recommendations?
I mean, myself, and I hope I'm not doing anything out of order, we need our legal here, but we need to be fair. We've got to be fair across every agency. We've got to cut debt. We've got to be sensible about spending our people's money. So, I mean, if y'all can cut, anywhere cut, I've got several things with Lonzo I want to ask to continue on our budget on cutting, so.
And I think one of the things that you and I, and to talk candidly and for the public consumption here, is I say, I'm not just here on behalf of myself, I'm here on behalf of the people of District 2. And so what I think needs to be clarified is that our debt, I know you said, well, we hate to lose the money, perhaps it's going to go somewhere else. And I agree that once it's out of your hands and comes to someone else's hands, that becomes a little bit, how could I say this kindly, but you're questioning where it's going to go. So I think, and I don't know, we don't have an attorney here today, and I might be just plumb off the cuff, but anyway, I think that we need to earmark what debt is burning off, as you put it. And we need to earmark it back over here so that the county officials don't spend it for something else, that it does go back for the infrastructure of the school, and it does go back to support our 3 schools and our elementary schools, and I don't know if that's possible.
That money originally came from where? The general budget, you know?
Well, it came there years ago. How long has these debts been?
Well, again, I've shared that list of those events. The biggest thing was the construction of the new gym at Honecker Elementary School, and then you had some renovations to the front office area of Honecker High School, Castlewood, and other schools. You had some roof projects. That's a very common thing, obviously. But again, you got all these things kind of hit at one time. That's what created this opportunity, for the board. And I've heard some of the things about the proposal. You don't get everything right the first time you try it, okay? Sure. But I do think at times people, again, talking about those projects that we've completed, people don't know because they don't see it. All those things that we've done. I think at times people maybe not, don't understand, I guess, some of the, the issues that we have at the current football facility for Lebanon. For instance, Castlewood and Homeacre both have field houses for their kids at halftime. Lebanon doesn't have that. Lebanon and Homeacre and Castlewood both have, aluminum bleachers. And of course, I'll share with you photographs of the concrete, how that's crumbling and so forth. Concession stands, that was another item. The concession stand at Castlewood is massive. The ones at Homeacre are very nice as well. You saw the condition of that. Visiting teams have a facility to go for halftime and so forth, and I shared with you the situation for Lebanon High School and the facility there. When people think football field, I think sometimes, and again, it's not a football field, there's going to be more soccer played on it than football. But anyway, when you look at that and you talk about that project, I think people think just the field itself and the grass out in the middle of the field, when you go out in on the middle of the 50-yard line and you stand and you do this, that's not the issue. It's all the stuff around the perimeter that's the issue. That's what I think is, and again, it's not this board's fault, it's not the Board of Ed's fault, but those things have, again, when I shared my presentation, I guess 2 months ago, I can't find records of anything being done to that facility in over 20 years. As far as brick and mortar repairs, I can't find anything. I found where they put the Bermuda down, but again, that's a process of killing the old grass and sprinkling the Bermuda into place and then watering it and letting it grow. So the field itself looks beautiful, but again, it's not about the field. It's about those auxiliary things around the field that come into play. The restrooms on the visitor side, there is no restrooms; they're inoperable. Those restrooms are tied into the side of the field house or visiting locker room facility. They're inoperable now. The plumbing is crushed underneath it and so forth from the age of the structure. On the home side, people go inside of the middle school to use the facilities there. So anyway, that's, again, I guess one thing that people maybe have a misconception of when we talk about a new athletic field or complex. It's not the grass and standing on the middle of the 50 as much as it is all the things around it that go with the facility that is the issue.
And we're talking about 20 years of maintenance. So once we get a facility paid for, what have we done in the past? I don't even know, do we have anything in place that's going to say, here's your maintenance program, and this is what you're going to do till when we come out on the other end paid for, it looks fabulous. Those are some issues that we haven't looked at.
Sure. No, and that's a great point, and you're exactly right. We're going to have to be more proactive in our preventative maintenance. It's not a reactive maintenance issue; it's a preventative maintenance issue. Yeah.
Well, Dr. Brown, I'll tell you, Russell County's in a really unique position also for travel ball. USSSA type sporting complex. We have the fields already from Castlewood, Lebanon, and Homeacre. Just being able to utilize them in a more fashionable USSSA type thing would bring a huge amount of economic opportunity to this area, this region, because most of our teams right now, even the local Little League teams, they're going to Domtar Park or they're going to Knoxville, North Carolina. I know, I traveled all over the country, and I think our current facilities need to be looked at too, not only partnering with the college, but looking at bringing in revenue for these types of facilities, because it's huge. And we're always kind of behind a little bit more on that, but from basketball, we had 135 kids sign up this year for the Southwest Virginia League in basketball, and that is Castlewood, Homeacre, and Lebanon combined. We brought them into the men's club program to help build their programs up in Castlewood, Lebanon. So, and it was huge this year. And all the gate money that we take in every week, we gave to a family in need throughout all of Southwest Virginia. So, some of those type programs I think would be very beneficial to talk and have a discussion about.
Sure, and those programs can also prosper under this idea, because now you could have band camps come into Russell County instead of us sending our kids to band camps, and you could have soccer, weekend soccer, AAU, AAA soccer programs, have those tournaments and so forth. See, the issue with, again, turf versus sod is the fact that sod, you can't get on it and stay on it. With this turf product now, you can get on this thing 6 o'clock in the morning and stay on until 8 o'clock at night, and it doesn't hurt you. You don't need to have auxiliary facilities for practices and so forth. You can run your 8th grade or your JV soccer team out at 8 o'clock in the morning in the summer, or during the season. You can run whomever out at 10 and whomever out at 11. You get the band on it during lunch, and it's not going to hurt these fields. They're designed for that type of wear, actually. So, again, there's the issue of space, especially at Castlewood. Last year we had to practice, and we'll have to continue to practice in the outfield baseball field there. We're going to, whatever we do to the football field itself is just going to be wasted if we allow them to practice on that and then play on it on Friday night. It'll just be, it'll continue just to be a big dust bowl. So, last year, we had to move them off. We're going to have to keep doing that in order for that field to prosper and mend and so forth. That's another advantage of the turf field idea, is the fact that you can have that for your entire facility. You can get baseball and softball can get out there and hit balls and so forth, as long as you don't have blade shoes on. Football can actually wear steel tip spikes on that field, and it doesn't hurt. My son played at Concord, and they just put a new field down before he started, and they wore steel tip cleats, screw-in cleats. So, but anyway, I'll get our board back together and maybe continue this conversation with our board, and then I can get that back to the.
I want to respond to David's comment. That's the reason in this, my proposal, I included all the county facilities. I think we need to look at it, but I'm not going to be in favor of anything until this study is done, because I think that's just something that has to be done. We had talked about doing it many years ago, back when we were doing our monthly meetings, having major lists, minor lists, and try to prioritize and get them done. So I'm just, until that's done, I'm not going to be in favor of anything. And I'll just tell you right up front, I'm not completely sold on turf fields. A lot of the stuff that I read about them, when 89% of the athletes, professional athletes interviewed, say they'd rather play on a natural grass field because it continues, it expands and prolongs their careers. I mean, that tells me something, it's all based around injuries. So, but at any rate, that's something that this committee would, look at and make some sort of recommendation.
Also, Dr. Brown, and to this board, there's a football field in the town of St. Paul that has nothing going on it, and the town of St. Paul has a lease on this from the Wise County School Board. And so there's a whole football field down there and a whole bunch of facilities that I think we could partner up on, and I don't know how you do that, but it does. Part of St. Paul is in Russell County, and the town is very interested in doing more and seeing more. And I do know that Bob Gibson has approached the town about using it for soccer. Now, I don't know where they are with that, but I do know that the town council is very much in tune with this idea, and they do have funding that they like to see put toward the schools, and they do support the Castlewood High School and the elementary school as much as they possibly can. I do know that.
Any other questions for Dr. Brown with the schools on their part of the budget?
I have a couple, if you don't mind.
Yes, sir.
First, I'd like to answer Lou's question. From the Code of Virginia, the debt load that this is appropriated to, it was signed in bonds and general obligation. That's the legal component of it. That is obligated for debt. It's nothing that he can legally transfer to raises or take care of any other component. If the board, at the board's pleasure, if they desire to move the money back, it would go, you could put it into what we call an encumbered fund. That is the legal terminology, the encumbered fund or restricted fund. And it would be dedicated for capital improvement. Second thing is you gave us a budget of needs, which is on the back of the list. and this is to tie into the question on the raise. Now, on all that list for the buses, the nurses, and et cetera, are you able to handle that under your budget if that's the first question?
Yeah, as far as the total expense of reoccurring
Yes.
dollar amounts are
The
concerned, you know, I feel that we can help with some of that, yes.
Okay, how, on the second question, this is said and running the numbers just while y'all were talking about the football field. Now, if we did that, and this is being conservative and being realistic, what is the, what amount or percentile raise could you actually live with? If we're at 5, you're at 6, what could you live with?
Well, again, you know, Mr. Lovelady started this conversation about, you know, the teachers, and I shared more details about that, but again, you know, the teacher group, RCBA, I think they've really worked well in engaging us. I think they're approaching us from a very rational standpoint. If you can do 6, that'd be incredible. But, you know, again, if you can't do 6, obviously they'll be happy with whatever you can get. But if you can do something beyond the 5, you know, maybe 5.5, something of that nature. If you can do anything just to acknowledge the work that they're doing as far as the committee and so forth, the task force, you know, something along that lines would be, you know, be great.
Okay, for Lebanon, dressing rooms at the football field, are they even in use now? Are they usable? The restrooms at the
middle school?
On the middle
Yeah.
school?
On the middle school,
Are they usable?
on the visitor side, the restrooms there that are built into the locker room facility, they're not usable. And again, I think I shared some of those pictures a couple months ago. But they're inoperable. The cast iron plumbing and pipes and so forth is deteriorated.
Do you have money in your budget that could fix that before the football field, before the season?
Fixing that's going to take the entire roof's got to come off of it. And then you're going to have to go in and replumb. So that's something we have to look at because we don't know what the dollar amount's going to be. I'd have to have some contractor come in and look at that and give us that information because the whole roof's going to have to come off of it or it's going to cave in. We're going to have to go in and then cut out that plumbing and see where we can tie back in. And we might be able to redo it. You know, again, the design of it was very poor. If you remember on the ladies' side, you opened up the door and there were 3 stalls right there. So if there were ladies in there using the facility and another lady came up and opened up the door, then everyone standing right here is going to be looking at, so it would have to be redesigned as well, I guess is my point, Mr. First.
See, this should have been addressed probably 6, 7, 8, 10 years ago.
Oh, it should have been addressed a lot longer than that. I mean,
It's like after the fact, they were broke down,
well, yes, sir, and again, you guys aren't responsible.
and you're not either,
Yeah.
because it should have been too long time. And I'm like Steve, I ain't sold on the turf fields yet, I need more information on that.
That's fine. Maybe I can get some more research and provide that as well.
What the upkeep would be to a turf field versus a grass field, you know?
The upkeep side of it, the research has shown that those things, the turf field pays for itself in roughly 10 to 12 years because of the chemicals, fertilizing, the manpower is the big thing. Send people on it to mow it. You know, every now and then you're going to have to go in and adjust the crown on it as well. That's one thing. You know, all sod fields have crowns in the middle, and it's not dramatic. It's 6 inches or something in the middle to move the water off to the sides. But you know, the painting, chemicals, pesticides you have to put on it, and so forth. You know, all those things add up over time. But the research shows 10 to 12 years that they pay for themselves.
I can show you research that shows just contradictory, because it depends on who you talk to, you know, whether it's turf grass people or whether it's the turf field people, you know. But I'm not saying which one is best. I just think if you went with a turf field, it might be something in your ag ed program, those students, that might be a project for them to take care of that field, or to at least have input into it. Because turf grass management is a field ag study, you know.
Right. The you know, most recently in this part of the state, like Galax High School had a field put in, a turf field, And they actually had it done for under $1 million, and that included all the equipment that you have to use to maintain it. You got the sweepers that go through once a month. You run a sweeper over it to redistribute the pellets and so forth to smooth that out. But again, you look at Homeacres Field, it's over 10 years old now, and it looks really nice.
Yeah, what I saw, the warranty period was about 8 years, and they said, well, we got fields that last 10, 12, 14 years.
Oh, yeah.
So eventually you're going to have to replace it.
Right.
And I'm told that, what I read is those fields need to be kept at a fairly high moisture content, like 30 to 40%, which is the reason you have to have a pond for the runoff. Is that?
No, the pond for the runoff, my understanding is that just simply, just retention of stormwater. But in the conversations I've had with the field turf company and so forth, and I also spoke to the superintendent of Galax about what they did and the processes they went through. They said the biggest sense you run into is if you have a really, really hot day, you might want to go out and hose it down. I said that's about the extent of it.
The temperatures get real high.
It does, sure. I mean, it's rubber.
Expected, yeah.
It's rubber and so forth. So the field temperature is probably going to be, I would guess it could be 8 to 10 degrees, maybe hotter.
Do they have an underground irrigation system?
Some do, but these do not. Basically, you have a berm that is a walkway that's poured, and then inside of that they'll excavate all that material out. And yeah, I'm sure you've looked into that. But they put different layers of product. They'll start with some gravel to move. They'll put some sand product in there, and then they'll go with big to small to pellets with rubberized product to help with the cushioning of it.
Yeah. Well, I think it'd be helpful to talk to somebody that actually had a field.
Is the rubberized safe now? It's not a cancer cause or anything like
No.
that?
You're all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, you hear all, again, there's all types, I mean, again, there's been an evolution of this product as well. If you go back 20 years compared to what they're doing now, it's very, very different. It's all, now they're talking about it being eco-friendly, and the products are not carcinogens and these types of things. But again, if we get to that point, I'd be more than happy to get to go and get one of those professionals, maybe the person who did Galax's field, to come in and speak to us. The board gets to that point that you're comfortable moving forward. But, again, the experience I think Honeacre has been pretty good. You've got every school in Wise County with turf now. You've got, I guess, Dickinson County has turf on their field now. Turf fields, and just because of the price coming down, that's the key thing. And speaking to the superintendent, he said they had 3 bids, $800,000, $1 million, and $1.2 million on the Galax facility, and they of course went with $800,000 bid, and they were able to get all the equipment in with that goes to, again, the periodic treatment and distribution of those pellets and stuff. But I will speak to my board, see if we can get back together. We'll make another recommendation. I'll bring that to Mr. Lester. And anything you folks can do, we definitely appreciate it. And again, it'd be wonderful if we could do that for, again, for the entire county.
All right. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you coming. Just another couple of questions, Lonzo. If you look on page 63, the cannery, do you think that's enough? Do we need to discuss the cannery on the cost? I mean, it's a very viable need. I know that Homeacres stays busy all the time, but it's a very costly thing. Could we cut the number of days? You all be thinking about it. It's right before the school's budget. It's that last page, 63. Let's be discussing it, because it's something that is needed, but it's one of those things that if you look at our monthly meeting, our monthly things, it's costly. So is there any suggestions anybody can come up with that would help us on the actual cost? The jars, I know the personnel's all part-time, no benefits, so that's a help. And we've worked hard to keep our canneries going in the county, but they are expensive. So if anybody's got any thoughts.
I do have a thought, and I don't know, y'all may agree or disagree with this, but I think we just need to decide on the cameras, you know, if we're gonna keep offering them as a public service, because that's all they're ever gonna be. We're not ever gonna make money
No,
on the
no, we're
cameras.
not making money.
We're never gonna break even.
No.
I mean, we just need
Cut-
we just need to
cut
realize
some
that, and
costs.
just, I mean, it is what it is. We're either gonna provide it or we're not.
Cut it down from 5 days a week to 3 days a week or something. Just, everybody just be thinking, we'll see.
Are people out of the county paying? I mean, are they charging out of the county?
Supposed to be.
Right now they are, and they even look at your driver's license when they come
That's
in.
what they need to do.
They need to.
Look at it.
Yes,
Uh-huh.
but, you know,
It's an expense.
yes, it's an expense, it's.
And it's not, we're not ever gonna make money on it. It's a service.
You want a contract?
Break even.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there are people.
There, people wanna use them now for contract use.
Yeah, I don't,
I don't have-
you're right, Tim, we're never gonna make money.
No, we're never gonna make
But if
money
it can
on it.
just break even, that's.
Yeah.
wash out.
And we just got that grant to get all that new equipment.
It should help.
I think it'll help.
Yeah.
And I'm not opposed to them at all. And I'm
No,
not, I'm just saying,
not at
it's just,
all.
it just is what it is. We just need to decide.
It's like the
Not expect
trash.
for it to come out, you know, to the good, because it's not
Yeah.
probably what we want. But if enough people use them to justify keeping them, then we just do that.
Yeah, and go on with it and let it be done. I'd like to thank Miss Alicia McLaughlin, if you'd like to come up and speak to us now. Bless, you've sat so patient and kind, we hope we've done that to you, but if you'd like to
Okay,
speak to us.
I just commend you guys for the job you guys did this last year with us, with our budget. This budget has been a little challenging at times, but we've got through it. And like I said, I thank you guys for your hard work and what you've put into it. I've not seen the new budget, but from what I can hear, it's gonna be very challenging this next term. So, anything that you need from my office, my door's open. I've got all the reports, I've got all the income, the expenses. I can break stuff down for you if you need to come and look at it. I'll be glad to work with you any way that we can. And like I said, we thank you guys for your hard work for us.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you, Alicia.
Thank you.
Any board members have any other thoughts? Any questions? This is your fun reading for the next, okay?
So y'all gonna wish I was absent.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
I just want to mention, and I know I've talked about this a lot, but if everybody would just consider, and I talked to Lonzo about this, I talked to everybody about it, but not for a while. Some type of trash site. I know we can't put back what we had down South 71, but some small facility, fenced in, not necessarily manned, but someone just come by occasionally. But here's where I'm going with this, and it's been a problem ever since that one was taken out, I think, but like Scott County is upset because they're getting a ton of trash from Russell County, and it's from my district.
They're getting what we used to get.
Well, that's true, maybe so, but it's to the point that they've been getting onto them in Nicholsville for bringing it down there, and it's to the point that now and they know they're doing this, they're meeting their friends or family members at the park across from Nicholsville, swapping vehicles.
That's innovative.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what's getting ready to happen in Russell County, and Wise County's getting ready to shut down Honey Branch.
And that's,
And it's
We've
gonna
heard
come
that.
to Russell.
It'll come to Russell County.
And we're also getting Dickinson County because West Dane comes out to Hamlin.
Can I give y'all a solution for this?
If anything, we need to replace.
I think
They're all up with
Sticker.
That's the
Manned
point
and
that will be
sticker.
I
made.
think Hamlin will have to be manned very soon.
Yep.
Once this shuts down up there,
Don't have to.
Yep.
All of them.
Carbos will have to be moved, Cleveland
Oh,
schools, something
yeah.
needs to be
Coral
manned,
drill.
Watched.
Drill is
Drill
wide
needs to
open.
go, it's wide open, but can trash,
The Honey Branch side is
Drill.
getting all kinds of stuff, and they get everything.
They are getting
You
ready to
do
close
not
it down.
want- And they are gonna close it down because it's just awful up through there. But I can assure you that a lot of people go up there from all over the county, Fair County.
I'll tell you something, we had a discussion on this, Tim, since you brought that up. From the waste management perspective is, we partner regionally with the counties to take in the garbage, but we really need to look like partnering with Scott County and Russell County about building a site together at the end of the area so they won't take advantage of either other county. If they would be willing to spend the money reasonably partnering with these counties, just like in Drill and Buchanan and these other areas, you're better off to partner with each other and build one mobile, one site that's manned, and even equally share the labor on it, because what it is, you'll never fix this issue unless you come together to partner on these and identify these areas, because you're like, I mean, I ain't heard that before, switching vehicles.
Oh, yeah, they're doing it. I know.
I hadn't heard that before.
And we talked to sticker, I don't know if we ever did any of that, I thought it was gonna put the stickers, it costs $400 or less to put on the.
And it wouldn't be paid,
When that
the
right,
citizens
they're
aren't
already
going to
paid for it.
pay,
They're already
but
paid
just,
for it.
they're already paid for, but to help identify,
Conversation.
just so those
Just
vehicles
have a
are
conversation.
doing that. But they are going to be manned. They are going to
Oh,
be
we're
manned.
willing to do it.
Yeah.
And I agree with what Dave said, I think if you could do that,
It fixes it.
that's the answer.
Anything
My
else?
concern is with Scott County's being, but that's
You just
right.
have to.
But what incentive do they have to do it? Because they're all right. They got one there in Nicholson. Their people are not having to go anywhere.
We're just
It's us.
It's you take action.
That's the problem.
Okay. If there's no other comments on the budget, any other comments on the budget, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn to, do you think reading it and just come back with our June board meeting, is that enough? Okay. All right, I'll take a motion. Anyone to adjourn?
I'll make it.
David
I'll send it.
and Tim, all those in favor?
Aye.
We will adjourn till our June board meeting.